Just because you didn't fall apart when it happened doesn't mean it didn't affect you. Some of you stayed strong. Some of you handled the arrangements. You took care of everyone else. And now, months or even years later, grief is finally showing up. So, what do you do? What do you do when the pain you thought you avoided comes back to be felt? Before we go any further, if you've ever felt grief hit you later than expected, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe because someone else is wondering why they're just now feeling something they thought they had already handled. Welcome to Sit With It. I'm Dr. Dandridge, and this is a space where we don't rush healing. No, we do exactly that. We sit with it. And today, we're talking about something that can feel confusing, it can feel unexpected, and even frustrating: postponed grief. Because not everyone grieves immediately. Some people go into survival mode. Some people stay busy. Some people focus on responsibilities. And in doing that, grief gets delayed, not denied, just postponed. I remember someone saying to me in my interactions as a hospice chaplain, I was fine when it happened, but now I don't understand why I feel like this. See, at the time of loss, they stayed composed. They took care of everything. They didn't really cry. People even told them, "You're so strong." But later, when life slowed down, when the distractions faded, everything they didn't feel started showing up. And it started showing up all at once. And it confused them because they thought they had already dealt with it. And maybe that's where you are, wondering why grief is knocking now when everything else inside of your life has already moved on. Today, I want to walk through three things you can take with you as you navigate postponed grief. The first thing I want you to take with you is that postponed grief is still valid grief. Let's start here because there is no expiration date on when grief is allowed to show up. And just because it didn't hit you right away doesn't make it any less real. In fact, postponed grief often shows up when you finally have space to feel. It shows up when your mind is no longer in survival mode. It shows up when your body begins to release what it's been holding. This isn't going backwards. This is you finally having the capacity to process. I want y'all to ask yourself this question. What was happening in your life when the loss first occurred? And did you have space during that time to grieve then? Because truth of the matter is that you may not have had the capacity at that time, but now you have the capacity to truly engage with your grief. The second thing I want you to take with you is that avoiding grief doesn't remove it, it just reschedules it. Here's the reality: grief that is not processed will eventually present itself. It might come back as unexpected sadness. It might come back as emotional overwhelm. It might come back as irritability or fatigue, even anxiety or disconnection. And when it does, it can feel like it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It was always there, waiting, not to harm you, but waiting to be acknowledged. I want you to ask yourself today, in what ways might your grief have been showing up even before you recognized it inside of this moment? Because trust me, it was there, sitting in the corner, waiting for you. The last thing I want you to consider is that now that it's here, you can choose to process it intentionally. Family, this is the opportunity. Even though it's delayed, you can still engage it. You can name what you didn't have time to name. You can feel what you didn't have space to feel. You can express what you didn't get to express. This is where your work, designing your goodbye, becomes incredibly powerful. because now you can go back and give yourself the moment you didn't have. You can create space for reflection. You can create space for release. You can create space for an intentional goodbye. I want you to know today that you're not behind. You're just now beginning the part you couldn't before. I want you to ask yourself, what do you feel like you didn't get a chance to do or say when the loss first happened? Let me ask you this, and I want you to answer this honestly, maybe even write it down. Did you really grieve when it happened, or did you just get through it? Let's take a moment, as we always do, and let's just breathe in and breathe out. If grief is showing up for you now, don't push it away. Don't judge it. Just acknowledge that this is my time to feel. You didn't miss your moment. This is your moment. Family, postponed grief doesn't mean you failed. It means you survived. You did what you had to do at the time, and now you're being invited to do something different, to feel, to process, to heal. If this conversation helped you, go ahead, like, share, subscribe here on my channel because someone else is just now realizing they didn't skip grief, they just postponed it. And if you're ready to go deeper inside of your healing journey, I encourage you to check out my books, Designing Your Goodbye and Sit With It. Both of them are available on Amazon. These resources are here to help you process your grief, no matter when it shows up, help you process it with intention, clarity, and spiritual grounding. Processing grief and postpone grief, it doesn't mean that you're behind. It doesn't mean that you've lost anything. It just means that now you have the capacity, and because you're listening and have listened this far, now you also have the tools, the resources, the know-how on how to process it intentionally. Family, healing doesn't happen when you rush it. It happens when you sit with it. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for your time. I'm Dr. Dandridge, encouraging you to take care of yourself, to offer yourself some grace, and know that even postponed grief, even delayed grief, is still valid, and you can make it through this season. Y'all take care of yourself and be blessed.